Kate Scarlatta, and I'm a registered dietitian and owner of For a Digestive Peace of Mind, which is a nutrition consultation practice in Medway, Massachusetts. Today I'm alongside
Tony Fiore, a dietitian that works here with Kate.
And both Tony and I specialize in the low Fodmap diet, and so for those of you who may not have heard this term, the low Fodmap diet is a special dietary approach to managing symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. And during the elimination phase, high Fodmap foods, which are Fodmaps to back up, are short chain carbohydrates that are commonly malabsorbed and can contribute to gas and bloating, which is a common symptoms that patients are troubled with irritable bowel syndrome. So today we thought we would kind of discuss different food choices when you're eating away from home, because the low FODMAP diet is fairly easy to manage when you're preparing your own foods in your own home. But we want you to have a full life and enjoy foods outside the home. So we thought we'd start with brunch.
Yes, so what to do when you're out socially. Brunch comes up often, I would say. To look at the food, I would just choose an omelet. That way you know the egg is a protein, does not have carbohydrate or FODMAPs, and then you can choose what you want to add into the omelet.
Absolutely.
So for me it would be cheese. I like a little bit of spinach and tomatoes, and that is a cleanly put together low FODMAP dish. And then as your beverage for a side, coffee with just a splash of cream. Sometimes I allow,
Absolutely.
not to make it a
Very
little
little lactose, so that's good. Yeah.
And tea would be low FODMAP, most teas. If you're feeling a little bit fancier and would like a beverage during brunch time, I really like the mimosas because you can have a little bit of a juice base, orange juice, even cranberry juice is delicious with your champagne. So hopefully that can make you feel more comfortable with eating at brunch.
I love that. And I think, one of the things that comes to mind for me is a lot of brunches are buffets. And that can be great because you can hand select what you'd like to choose. A lot of the cut up fruit is low FODMAP, so that's great. Often they have big trays of scrambled eggs, which is another option, and that's terrific. But one of the things to keep in mind if you do suffer with some GI symptoms is watching the quantity of food that you eat, because you want to get your money's worth, and if it's a buffet, sometimes that can encourage you to eat a little bit more.
Load up
the plate, exactly. So just bear that in mind, that keep your portions in check too is an important concept if you have a sensitive GI tract. And then I wanted to move on to Starbucks because I'm kind of a Starbucks queen. I enjoy getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and if you're like me, you can too. Starbucks offers a variety of teas, and many of them are suitable on the low FODMAP diet. But if you want to have coffee, they also offer almond milk, and as Tony mentioned earlier, having a little bit of cream or even a splash of regular milk is often tolerated by most people. So if you wanted a latte, I might stick with the almond milk, but if you just need a little splash cream or just a regular splash of milk should work for most people on the low FODMAP diet. I love going there for their oatmeal, so often I'll get their oats. It's a hearty lunch sometimes, or a snack for me, or breakfast. But if I just need that little filling, warm something, the oatmeal tends to work really great. You can have a tablespoon of raisins, so if you get the little dry fruit mixtures, you could put a little bit of raisins and nuts on your oatmeal as well. Starbucks also offers bananas at the front case, so that's a quick if you just need a little something to grab and go. They're Rice Krispie treats, and they also have like a little waffle cookie in a gluten-free version, and those also would be like a little treat if you just needed to fill up on a little something. Yeah. So we love Starbucks, and most people can go there and find something suitable while they're on their low FODMAP elimination diet.
You have like your breakfast on the go when you're traveling, but also if you want to sit with a friend and just catch up over coffee, you can have a little treat.
Exactly. We love that.
We're together, Josh. All right, so I want to talk about cookouts. I'm hoping we're seeing the warm weather. We've said that before, but I'm looking forward to the weekend cookouts. And whether you're hosting it or sometimes you're going to a cookout, don't be afraid to bring some of your own stuff. I think
Absolutely.
that always goes. People are never upset when you're offering to bring something. So if you think about the base of a cookout when you're grilling out, the proteins are a pretty safe choice. So if you want to marinate your own chicken or fish or shrimp, it's my go-to. Most vegetables that you want to throw on the grill are going to be okay. So that's, the main deal, I would say.
Yeah.
But what about like a potato salad or some of these sides? That's when I would recommend making your own low FODMAP dish, and we have quite a few on the blog.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you're talking about salads and salad dressing, you can get into some of the onion and garlic, which are off the table during the low FODMAP diet, so maybe bringing your own dressing or creating your own salad. We do have some potato salad and side salad dishes on the blog at katescarlotta.com. So feel free to look there. And like Tony said, everyone's happy when you bring a little something. And then fruit salad is always a common thing. Yeah, and most fruit salads that you buy at the market actually have all low FODMAP fruits in them, as I mentioned earlier. So be on the lookout, because then you don't even have to do the work. You can just buy pre-cut fruit and bring it to the party.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing about a cookout. It's not a sit-down meal, so you can kind of bring something on your own and then scope out the scene. Other things that come to mind, like an ear of corn. You can have half an ear of corn, and like potato chips, regular potato chips.
Yep, tortilla chips.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's some, if you dig around there's definitely some options.
Definitely. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about is this girls' nights out, because I really love hanging out with my girlfriends, and Tony introduced the concept of alcohol, so I'll just finish it up. No, there's definitely cocktails that you can enjoy. Certainly a Chardonnay or glass of Cabernet is really nice. You don't want to overdo alcohol, because too much alcohol in itself can kind of trigger some GI symptoms. So we recommend maybe doing like a wine spritzer. And what do you usually do for that?
Pretty simple. I'll make sure I bring my seltzer water, and then you can kind of add that to, I like white wine with it. And you can get away with having a few servings now, a few glasses, but you've cut down the amount of alcohol in there.
Right.
And at least I think it's easy to get carried away with social drinking, and it's not necessarily the alcohol, it's just the act of drinking. What do you say to that?
Yeah, exactly. So if you do half a glass of wine with half a glass of seltzer, you could have two of those and really just be having one glass of wine, and that works really great. And most hard liquor, such as like vodka and gin, you can mix too with suitable mixers if you wanted to have a different style of cocktail if you're not into wine. And then beer, surprisingly, is low FODMAP too. So just sticking with one beer might work for some people. Unless you're gluten sensitive, then that might not be an option, or choosing a gluten-free beer would be better. So when we're going to a girlfriend's or we're hosting girlfriends, you do want to have a few things to eat. And I like to just bring the Fodi low FODMAP salsa. Fodi's Foods is a new company, and that salsa is free of onion and garlic. And then just bringing a bag of tortilla chips, and you've got a little snack. I also really enjoy making a nice cheese platter.
Just everyone else, I'm sure, at that place.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people think cheese is high lactose, but most cheeses is actually very low lactose, so is allowed on the low FODMAP diet. So a variety of cheeses, some olives, maybe some sliced up cucumbers and carrots, red bell peppers. You could make a little cheese dip with lactose-free cottage cheese and just mix it with a little lemon juice and fresh dill. But you can really make an elaborate, some grapes on your platter as well. But you won't feel like you're on a special diet at all, and it's yummy and also low FODMAP. For crackers, choosing we like the almond nut thins, not the smokehouse version, which has onion.
The Blue Diamond.
Blue Diamond brand, yep. And then just even like regular brown rice crackers also can be suitable in the low FODMAP diet as well.
That's great. Making me in the mood for a girls' night. So one of the other things that can come up is like a night at the movies. And you don't need to eat at the movies, although sometimes the the person next to you or the person you're going with, or even a lot of my patients will say, they're kids. It's just like a special thing that they'll do every couple weeks or so. So you don't always think of the candy and the junk food as suitable when following a diet. And we don't encourage you to live off those foods, but if you do want to treat, most candies, there are many candies that are suitable on the diet. I jotted down a few, like the gold bears, the little gummy bears, Nerds, Swedish Fish, those kinds of Junior Mints, if you want to get a little bit chocolatey in the mix. Sour Patch Kids, just like little treats, I think can make you feel like you're indulging a little bit, just like your family members.
Absolutely. I love to also, and I know you're not supposed to sneak food in, however, like even just a little snack Ziploc bag of almonds, a few almonds, there's a limit of 10, some dark chocolate chips, and maybe some gluten-free pretzels, and kind of do like a little trail mix so you get a little salty, a little sweet.
Snacky while you're eating, yes.
Yeah, watch it. Snacking while you're eating, or snacking while you're watching the movies.
Yes. Distractions.
There we go.
And actually, we didn't even bring up, speaking of salty snacks, is popcorn. You don't always think, people think, oh, I can't have that.
Right.
But that's suitable on the diet, so just share it. Don't get the...
don't get the large version like my husband. You do not need the family-size popcorn when you go to the movies, just FYI.
Yes.
So I think that's really great. And then I wanted to kind of transition to the dorm room, because we do have a lot of college-age kids that are following the low FODMAP diet, and the transition into college can be a little challenging on its own, and then you have a special diet to follow that certainly can add an extra layer, but it doesn't have to. What I remember back in college a million years ago was being far away from my dorm room and being hungry. And sometimes those, student centers or cafeterias don't have really many low FODMAP options. So carrying along some kind of snack with you if you're far away from the dorm can be helpful. And we really love the Fodi Foods bars. They're a certified low FODMAP bar. This is something that you could also have in your dorm room as well, but they're easy to just throw into your backpack and at least have something that's filling and tasty to keep your energy up for school. But we also suggest having things like microwavable popcorn or just bags of the Skinny Pop style popcorn if you don't want to microwave, Tostitos or tortilla chips for the room just to have a little something to crunch on. If you have a little mini fridge, it's nice to keep like some lactose-free yogurt or lactose-free cottage cheese for some protein, some brown rice crackers for something to put the cottage cheese on. Also just bananas and in a jar of peanut butter.
That was my go-to in college. I always had a jar of peanut butter and rice cakes.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't really go bad.
Right.
And it was always on hand and it was satisfying.
Exactly. And also you can put the 2 rice cakes together and throw it in a Ziploc bag and take that away from the dorm if you were going to be out at an evening class or something like that. Small, you can also get some fruit cups or even cut up fruit and just keep that in your fridge as well. Peanuts are a great little snack to keep. You can make your own trail mix with this dark chocolate chips and the nuts and some gluten-free pretzels. But just keeping snacks readily available. And then also working with the food service staff, because it's very possible that they can bring in some specialty foods for you. And if you don't ask, they probably won't get them, or you might not even know where they carry some of the specialty products in the cafeteria. So always work with your food service provider so that they can help accommodate you when you're living away from home. So that's really it for me. Hopefully this has been informative. Just to give you a couple ideas of ways to be social, have a full life, but not trigger your GI distress when you're eating away from home. So thanks so much for listening.
Bye, guys.